okay, I don't like Mark Carney. I really am not a fan at this moment in time. But what do I actually not like that he has done? And I thought, okay, well, let's kind of back things up for a second, because my high net worth friend was saying, well, you can't hate him because he's only been in for a year. And I said, well, he's part of the Liberal Party, right? The Liberals have been in charge for 10, 11 years. He's like, well, it's a different branch of Liberal Party. And I said, that's like saying, like, we've all seen a gym or a Mexican restaurant where they have a big sign, same bar, same restaurant, same gym, new ownership, new management, under new management, because they're trying to get the message across of, hey, the product was shit before, but it's changed now. And the reality is, whether it's the Mexican restaurant, the dentist office, or the Liberal Party of Canada, if it's under, and I'm going to use the air quotes, air management or new management, it doesn't change the previous reputation. It's like, for example, if I gained a reputation for being a, let's say, third world scammer running telemarketing scams, and now all of a sudden my entire race was labeled as that, as scammers, fraudsters, cheat the system, not honest people, well, it doesn't just magically go away. You can't just do a whole rebrand. Like, for example, the reason why nobody respects white men in Canada anymore is because the women don't even respect white men anymore. And I'm not even white. I am more native than anything else. I'm a card-carrying member of the native community, and I'm the only person standing up for white Canadians. So point being is that you can't just magically overnight do a whole rebrand and say, well, previous reputation's gone, we'll shred the papers. I guess in the government's case, you can shred the papers and try to start over and whatnot. But I'm still going to have a bad taste in my mouth from what I didn't like before. So, for example, if you're freezing the bank accounts of the truckers when we say enough of these draconian mandates for this plandemic, this scamdemic, this imaginary flu, this giant compliance test, and you freeze everybody's bank accounts for wanting their country back, well, I haven't forgotten about that. Right? When you didn't want people going into the hospital to see their dying family members because of some imaginary flu, I haven't forgotten about that. I'm not going to forget about that type of stuff. Right? When we have a pro-feminist prime minister, and I've said before, feminism is the biggest scam in human history, which we can touch a little bit more on later on in the video. That reputation doesn't go away. But I wrote down a little bit of a list. I usually do these videos unscripted, uncut, and just kind of monologue off the top of my head. I did come up with a little bit of a list. So what are the things that I don't like about Mark Carney pretty much 1 year to the date of him taking over the reins of the country? Well, number one, I did have to renew my Canadian dental plan coverage, the Canadian free dental plan, where they say everybody's going to get their teeth taken care of. I will give him credit, and shout out to JT and our boy Jagmeet Singh out in Burnaby. Lives not too far away from where I live in Vancouver. I'm in Winnipeg visiting family, by the way. This is not a jail yard. This is Winnipeg, for those confused. But JT and Mr. Singh brought in the dental plan. And so now every single 6 months, I get to go and get my tartar taken care of. I get to have my teeth polished and my smile nice and white. So I want everybody to know that although I did have to renew my dental plan, which has had to be renewed, I think, by July 1, after that, and we're all kicked back into place, this $1 million smile is a Mark Carney $1 million smile. Just so you know. So that was a bit of a pain in the ass having to renew that. He did, I will give him credit, he did go from 1.5 million immigrants a year, which, again, I don't know how you get any higher than that, down to, I think he said we're doing 350,000 this year. And although, yes, the 20% of the previous number is fantastic, I'd like it to be zero. No, sorry, I wouldn't like it. I want it to be zero. But then also at the same time, Mr. Liberalite himself, Pierre Poilievre, says 250,000 immigrants a year is what he wants. So it's like, well, do you want Fruit Loops or do you want Fruitios? They're both shit. They're both full of carbs, processed sugars, and cereals. Why don't we just put a steak in the pan instead? Right? I don't want the same thing. I want something different. I don't want 1.5 million. I don't want 750, 300,000, 200,000. I want zero immigrants coming in here. Reason being, I heard this argument the other day. I mean, this is from my high net worth friend, where he was saying, Canadians have gotten comfortable and nobody wants to work the low wage jobs. And I do agree to an extent. I would also argue, I don't know a single person under 30 that is thriving right now in Canada. Not a single one. Everybody is struggling in some way, shape, or form. And it's not the avocado toast. It's not the $7 lattes, although matcha does taste like grass and cattle feed and fertilizer. It's not that. It's the money system and the fact that we are growing up and, I guess, adulting in a completely different time. You bought your house for 7 blueberries. It's now worth $1.2 million, right? It was 3 times the annual income back then. Now it's 20 times plus. Right? Plus the money system where everything is more expensive cost of living wise. The wages have stagnated, which we'll get to in a second. I want to stay on track here because sometimes I do kind of go on my rants and monologues, which some people do like. Trust me, I got some good one-liners for you here. But the idea that we need immigrants because there's a labor shortage. There's no labor shortage. Unless the unemployment is 0%, there's no need for immigrants. The market will figure itself out. Money goes where value flows. So this argument of, well, someone's got to pick the fields and the strawberries, someone's got to work at Tim Hortons. Correct. But when the mega corporations can hire me, actually, you know, I'd probably be subsidized wages because I have my native card. So for you white Canadians watching, if they hired you at Tim Hortons in British Columbia, it'd be $16 an hour. If they hired my oppressed ass and my victimhood mentality personality, or an immigrant, it'd be $8 an hour, and then you subsidize the other 8 via government taxes. So you get to cut the labor in half. As a big corporation, Save On Foods, Walmart, Tim Hortons, Canadian Tire, also known as Punjab Tire, A&W, McDonald's, all of them are taking advantage of this. Now, personally, I am not giving them any of my money. I refuse to give Tim Hortons a cent. And all you liberal-like conservatives where your women don't respect you, when you are in the drive-thru at 8 in the morning waiting for your sausage and egg and sleaze on a biscuit with your dirty double-double, giving them your money, you're literally saying, hey, here's my $20. I hope this funds my future replacement and my kids' replacement. Think about that. That's what you're doing every time you go to Tim Hortons. That's what you're funding. So I do believe immigration should be 0% and the economy would figure it out. But that's also under the premises that the government cares about the native population, which I would argue they don't, but let's just pretend that they do for sake of ease, right? Unemployment is 0 or no immigrants. End of story. Also, did you see that they just committed $8 million to black community initiatives? You never see them commit money to white initiatives or having the native Canadian population birth rate increase, right? If you saw the summer jobs program for youth, they have 100,000 jobs spread out amongst various employers. And it says on the Government of Canada website, if you are of the following: Black, Indigenous, like myself, First Nations, Native, Aboriginal, whatever you want to call us, the First Peoples, whatever, alphabet soup crowd, the ABC, LGBTQ, or disabled, you will be prioritized. So if you are white and you're a white Canadian youth who've been here the entire time, your parents, who are probably the majority of the tax base, carrying all the dead weight of the welfare state, you'll be last in line. You never see any initiatives for the native population Canadian people. Now, I would argue the taxes are too high in Canada, but I would be a hypocrite because the reason being, if you are a wagee, if you're working a wage, your taxes are anywhere from 40 to 54% of your income. So basically, January 1 through July 15, you work for Mark Carney and the boys, and then after that, you can start taking some of your money home.